So as a massive Megamind and an animated movie fan, I did not want to believe all of the negativity around this Megamind sequel. However, very similarly to Madam Web, both the critics and the audiences alike were absolutely on the money when they were describing Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate as an absolute joke. Now, very similarly to what happened with Kung Fu Panda 4 in terms of them catering way too much for that younger audience instead of an all ages audience, it just meant that this sequel was just watered down so badly. I mean, the first movie is a parody on the whole superhero genre, but they just took it to another level with this film, on top of the fact of making it catering for kids, so it was just unfortunately a bit of a mess. Which is such a shame, as that first Megamind movie was just so pioneering, so ahead of its time, way before, you know, The Boys and Invincible were parodying Marvel and DC. Of course, this is done in a bit of a more light-hearted way, but still, it was ahead of its time. And it was so clever and sophisticated in its storytelling device, so it's just such a shame that they're completely diluting the brilliance of that first film. Megamind in that first film is such a well-written character who's got lots of layers to him, and I just loved it how he's really questioning his life choices, which actually isn't too far from reality in terms of a villainous character just really thinking, you know, what would it be like if I was actually on the heroic side? Is everything that I'm doing actually right? Which I feel like a lot of recent projects from the film and TV space have been exploring. But you know, Megamind was well ahead of its time. Whereas in this film, Megamind just feels like a bit of a caricature of himself, and I feel like he undoes all of the brilliant character development from that first original film. Now, from a storyline perspective, bringing in Megamind's old teammates that he was actually the leader of from an evil perspective, I do actually think is really, really clever. And actually, the Doom Syndicate at one stage were going to be in the original film, but they just felt that they were just overstuffing the first film, so they moved it into this sequel. So like I said, on paper, I do actually think it's a really clever idea, but I feel like they just played them for laughs. And whilst they definitely did cause a lot of chaos and carnage and did get up to no good, and actually did do some barbaric things in this film, I just feel like ultimately they could have done so much more with this dynamic, as like I said, it was all there for them to do something really, really clever. But instead, they just made these characters so goofy and the storyline just a little bit pathetic. So let's go through all of the voice actors, who I have to say, for the most part, did actually do a pretty good job. So first up, we have Keith Ferguson replacing Will Ferrell as the titular Megamind character. And like I said, he did actually do a decent good job from a voice acting perspective. Unfortunately, the script that he was given just turned this wicked character into an absolute parody of himself. And I just feel like, you know, now that he's a hero, this is really getting to his ego, which I feel like is interesting as well from like the hero complex perspective. But they just could have made it at the same level of the brilliance writing in the first film. Josh Brewer replaces David Cross, who was playing Chum, who was formerly Minion. And actually, I think this character was the only real decent one, as his character arc was pretty interesting, as he wants to have a bit of a promotion, he wants more recognition and respect, and he feels like Megamind takes him for granted, and then actually does leave him and goes for another boss where he's actually able to succeed really, really well. And there, he is really respected, he is really rewarded. So actually, I think Chum's storyline was actually pretty decent. Laura Post was also alright as Roxanne Ritchie. She replaces Tina Fey. I honestly have so much respect for Tina Fey, so it's a little bit of a shame that she wasn't returning here. But like I said, Laura Post did do a good job, and I feel like they could have explored her storyline a little bit more, as I feel like she was definitely the support to Megamind, really helping him, helping reunite Chum and Megamind together, and was the brains behind some of the operation too. If you're purely looking at this movie from a comedic perspective, then I think the Doom Syndicate are pretty funny. Lady Doppler was such a good replacement for Storm, and you can really see what an absolute badass Storm is, as she is able to just pretty much wipe out anyone she wants to. Nighty Night was an absolutely hilarious character, which is ironic as the first time you see him, he does actually look pretty threatening. Here, Pressure has a really cool mind control ability, and Behemoth is of course bringing the strength for the team. And then we also have Machiavellian right at the end, which actually does continue in the animated series in the final episode of that new spin-off. As effectively, this movie is a bit of an extended pilot to that new animated TV series, and apparently a third movie set after this animated TV series is also in the works. And I have to talk about the animation in this special, as it honestly felt like a bit of a really old video game cutscene type animation, which is just such a far cry from the first film, which looked so beautiful, Whereas this one, you just couldn't believe what on earth you're watching. So it's just such a shame with Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate. As like I said, it could have been such a brilliant movie, but for all of the reasons I've explained in this review, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.